Winter is coming, so why not warm yourself by the fire? Book of the Stranger, Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 4. Reminder, I don't do spoiler free anymore, so here we go. Without having to resort to big action set pieces, this episode just feels like a lot goes on and it's a lot of stuff I like. Everything is moving and it's not just sort of nudging, it's not indicating, it's not going maybe we'll go here later in the season. It's moving. So, where to start? Well, we actually start with Jon not quite having left yet, which initially I was kind of annoyed. I'm like, he had that great line at the end of the last episode, my watch has ended. I'm like, cool, badass line. I guess he's gonna go off and do his own thing. And we open, and he's still there, and his friend's trying to talk him into not leaving yet. I'm like, this seems like an odd stall. What's going on here? And then Sansa shows up there, and I gotta be honest, that just felt good. For all the near misses, how many times Starks, almost got reunited or almost, got there in the nick of time. I had assumed, I don't think I even really thought about it. I just assumed that he was going to be gone by the time Sansa got there, because that's the sort of thing that always happens to them. So for her to get there and for them to embrace it, and to have a really touching moment, and for Sansa to have a high degree of self-awareness and be, I was awful. Please just tell me you forgive me. And it was nice and it was sweet and it still felt true to the characters and it was just a good moment. It's a good reason to keep him there. And I like a lot of the other interactions that went on there. Obviously, Melisandre's really kind of still struggling with her face because she's like, well, Jon's the prince that was promised, and Davos immediately goes, well, you said that about Stannis. So you kind of see, without it dwelling on her, you see with Melisandre that she's really kind of struggling with her faith right now because something miraculous has happened, but she isn't so sure of herself and doesn't know what to make of it anymore. I really liked the fairly brief, just sort of, I don't want to call it a standoff, but the moment that happened between Brienne and Davos, where Brienne basically steps in and goes, yeah, I killed your king. And that was such an odd moment because normally something like that happens. It's a character you really like, putting down a character you don't like. But I like both characters and I was like, oh, ouch. We see Robb and Aaron for the first time in a long time. Man, it's weird seeing that kid kind of grown up. I mean, he was always a little weird looking, but I don't know. And of course, Littlefinger doing what he always does and playing the situation. It's not quite as satisfying in this instance because he doesn't have to be as clever about it when he's dealing with Robb. And he's a bit more blatant, which is a shame because it makes him look less clever than I know he actually is, just because he doesn't need to try as hard to manipulate this kid. Over Marine, Tyrion doing a very careful balancing act with this whole thing, trying to negotiate and do the sorts of things that, as someone who understands politics, he knows is the best way to move forward, but at the same time, the people right behind him who are theoretically on his side, they don't want to go. They probably hate this much more than the people that he's negotiating with getting to give up their way of life. So watching him walk that line and do it pretty well, but at the same time, you're like, Tyrion, I'm not sure you're on as solid a footing as you think you are. But he's still managing so far, and I'm enjoying watching it. Some more great stuff with the High Sparrow. Jonathan Pryce is so good in this role. I will never get tired of seeing him and watching him and just listening to him. And Marjorie, seeming like she's starting to crack, but then having a really strong moment with her brother. And then almost immediately after that, we get to see Lady Olenna again, and she's ready to really lay down the law and put it all on the line to get Marjorie back. And honestly, this episode, there's a lot of just women having had enough and kind of making their stands, putting their foot down. I don't know if it was an intentional running theme in this episode, but it's in here a lot and I enjoyed it. Although unfortunately not all of the female characters get to have good little victory moments because we lost Osha to Ramsey. Damn, I hate this guy. I mean, it really does seem like Ramsey is specifically designed to make you hate him more than Joffrey. Because again, I hated Joffrey. Everybody hated Joffrey, but Joffrey was just this prick. You're like, people are going to take him out. He can't defend himself. He's just there because he's king, and for as long as people put up with him, he'll stay there. But you knew he was on borrowed time. I mean, ruling the way he was, it was going to lead to a rebellion. Ramsey is ruthless and scary. That was the thing about Joffrey. He couldn't fend for himself. Ramsey can, and that makes him scarier, which makes it less likely that people are going to stand up to him. And I am sure that he will die at some point. They're gonna make us wait for it, though. You thought it was a long time waiting for Joffrey to die? It's gonna feel like an eternity before they kill this guy. But then, of course, the big moment, I've been really skeptical of all the stuff going on with the Dothraki and with Daenerys. I'm like, oh, what is this going anywhere? We're just stalling. And maybe that was still the case, but you know what? I really like this closer. And yes, it's a very deliberate, blatant callback to what happened at the end of the first season. So should I be giving it so much credit that's basically just rehashing something that it did 5 years ago? Part of me wants to give the show crap for that. It's like, oh, you finally brought her up to that point that you had her at forever ago. Can we finally move forward from that now? But I can't really give the show crap, even though I kind of want to, because I enjoyed it too much. Huge grin on my face. Yeah! So, yes, and now I really want the show to, she's got an army of Dothraki. You know what? I don't really care where she goes. If she wants to go back to Marine and get her dragons, or if she just wants to hop on some boats and go to Westeros right now, don't care. Roll over whoever's in your way, please. That's pretty much it. Honestly, no genuine complaints. I mean, some things happened that I didn't like Osha getting killed, but I'm not going to say that makes the episode bad. It's a plot turn that I'm like, but it's not bad storytelling. It's perfectly effective storytelling. It's consistent with the characters. It affected me because I cared about those characters. The other thing I forgot to mention was Theon and Yara and their reunion, and I was expecting that to be clunky as heck, but no, that worked. That was really good. This is just a really good, solid episode. I mean, it's really getting the ball rolling, things moving. It ends on a great note. I've got no actual legitimate complaints. So 4 episodes in, I'm declaring this one the highlight of the season so far. Let's see where they can take it from here. So that's my thoughts. I'm assuming you have already seen Book of the Stranger. So what did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments and let's talk about it. Do not forget to like, subscribe, check me out on Twitter at Council of Geeks. Check out the Council of Geeks podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. Links below. And until next time, this council is adjourned.